Before we learn some new vocabulary this week, I want to give you some advice or at least some suggestions on how to take notes in this class. Both having a paper record of what signs look like and the process of you thinking about and documenting what signs look like are very beneficial in helping you to retain the information. It's like the more Velcro you can give the content, the better chance it has of sticking. First off, let's talk about the fact that ASL does not have a written form. There is no standardized way to record ASL on paper. And that's important to know. Most languages have a written form, ASL does not. That means most deaf people are bilingual. They read and write in English and then they sign in ASL. English belongs on paper or spoken, and ASL belongs in the air. But many people want a way to jot down vocabulary that they learn, but just don't know how. ASL words aren't as easy to write as, say, Spanish, where chair is equivalent to silla, right? That there's a specific correlation between a word in one language and the word in the other. ASL, we are switching modes. We're going from one kind of word to another kind. It's not just all words, it's now words and signs. So that makes it a lot different. When I was first learning to sign, we had sign language dictionaries, but they were often difficult to understand. These were made by professional artists, but they're still awkward and hard to understand sometimes. But there are several different styles for writing down signs, and I want you to experiment with them and decide what works for you. We've already spent some time talking about parameters and parameter sheets. These are excellent for logical, mathy people. It helps you to know exactly what is relevant. Remember, it is totally fine to use sketches, arrows, or even emojis on a parameter sheet. If you are more of a word person, you might want to try explaining what the signs look like this, like the sign name. And here's what it looks like. There. So if you want to just describe what that is, there you tap your H hands together, palms in. And if you look at that, I still covered most of the parameters, right? Tapping is the movement, H is the hand shape. There's a little bit of location there, not a whole lot. Palms in, right? So I still covered a lot of that information. I just wrote it differently. As you learn more signs, you can also build on what you already know. For example, chair and name are minimal pairs, and here's what those look like. As you learn more signs, you can also build on what you already know. For example, chair and name are minimal pairs. If you already know and can remember the sign for name, you only need to write down how chair is different, right? Chair looks just like name, but with palms down. It can also help if you know the origin of the sign or can just describe what it reminds you of. So for example, a chair, instead of kind of going to the parameters and looking at the pieces, you can also think about what it looks like. Your weak hand is the bench, right? And then your right hand is the leg sitting on the bench, chair. When you see that visual of somebody sitting down, that makes more sense where chair came from. Now I have some suggestions for you visual artsy people, and that includes drawing pictures. ASL is a visual language, so that may become the best way for you to record signs. Draw stick figures, use arrows, sketches, whatever you need to help you remember. I had a student several years ago that was very skilled at making quick, simple drawings that clearly showed what the signs look like. She saw a sign and was able to put that on paper quickly and neatly, and it absolutely worked for her. Not all of us are wired that way, but if you are, by all means, take advantage of it. You don't have to be the best artist in the world to make this work for you. And you can't take forever on your masterpiece because otherwise this method isn't very functional. If you're still sketching the first sign while I'm taught number 6, then you're going to be behind. As long as the sketches make sense to you, that's what's really important. As I mentioned before, back in the old days, we had ASL dictionaries, but that's gone the way of the dodo, as they say, anymore because now in a digital age, we have a lot of other options. You can sometimes download images that will show what signs look like. There is a limited library out there of what you can find, but they are available, and you can find those on YouTube and through animated GIFs and stuff like that. You can also make your own vocabulary videos as well as having access to mine, and I'll talk about that later. This isn't always going to work because, like I said, there's a limited amount of information out there, but you can absolutely do that. And regarding making your own videos, could be after you learn the signs with me, you sign them yourself and make a video, and that way you've got a visual record for yourself of what those things look like. Now let's talk about sign writing for a minute. As I mentioned before, ASL does not have a standardized written form. However, there have been several writing systems invented for ASL, and one of them is called sign writing. Here's some examples. There are different symbols for hand shape, icons for location, arrows for movement, and shading for palm orientation. I have not learned how to use this myself, and I have met very few others who do. However, it is an option, and sometimes it can help you think about how to organize this information. As we start a new set of vocabulary words, I hope you'll take some time and experiment with some of these different methods. Find what works best for you. If you have any questions or other ideas, I would love for you to share that with us. Happy signing!